All right, guys, we've all been hearing about this next man for a while. Repping TKB, he steps into the Dana White Contender Series 1 week early, might I add, with a new opponent, but the same goal in mind to take over the 205 division. Man, it's a real pleasure to welcome Navajo Sterling to Submission Radio, man, for the first time. Navajo, welcome to the program, brother.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Dude, it's a crazy time for you right now, right? So you were supposed to be on the Dana White Contender Series a little bit later. How did this whole switch happen, and what was your reaction when you realized you'd be stepping up a little earlier?
Uh, yeah, I was just more so like, yeah, all good. It's hopefully my weight's all right. So that was the only thing I was concerned about. But it's uh, it's been sliding off with the help of Geordie, fight dietitian. He's been helping me, and yeah, the weight's coming off pretty easily. So yeah, I'm always ready, and yeah, just want to get to work.
Yeah, brother, man, I couldn't imagine that. Yeah, like having to factor that in because you got everything finely tuned. So 1 week earlier, that you got to change up a bunch of stuff. What about the opponent? You got a new opponent. What do you know about him? What can you tell us about him?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the original opponent I was supposed to fight was like a 6'7" Brazilian, and there was like not much tape on him at all. But
Yep.
at least this guy, he's like a kickboxer, which is obviously plays into my realm a little bit better. And there's a lot more tape on him than the other guy. So this guy's not 6'7" either. He's 6'3", which is around same height as me. So yeah, I think it's just more of a conventional matchup. So we thought, we'll take the fight. Um, I think there was like heaps of pullouts, so they pushed us through. So yeah, here we
Yeah,
are.
they're like, "We don't wanna fight Navajo, we've changed our mind, let's"
Yeah,
The 6'7" guy, Jesus Christ.
yeah,
So, yeah, obviously, you're for people that don't realize, you've been a part the kickboxing, you've had a lot of experience in King of the Ring, for example. It's something that you're really good in, along with other areas of MMA, of course. How do you sort of when you look at the way you guys match up, you mentioned same height, this guy's a kickboxer
yeah.
as well. How do you sort of preview that fight in your mind? How do you think it's gonna go?
Uh, yeah, it can go a lot of ways. Really, I know I'm going to show up. I'm just hoping, yeah, he does too. And yeah, from what I've seen, he looks like a very durable guy. Like, won't be easy to finish. So I have to set it up, and I believe I'll have the MMA advantage as well because I have been doing this for a while, working on my grappling for like my offensive grappling as well. So um, yeah, it would be cool to show that off. He'd be a good guy to practice that on. Um, but yeah, there's the gamble of keeping it exciting on the feet. I know, like if
Mm.
I keep it on the feet, Dana's gonna be really happy. So yeah, it's just I reckon I'll just take it as I see it. I never really game plan too much. I just if I'm feeling myself, I'll go for whatever I feel. So yeah, just want to get in there and touch gloves.
Yeah, bro, it's been a long time coming, and it's interesting that you say that because it's like different from a UFC fight. Because not only are you looking to win here, but you also got to impress, and Dana's
Yeah,
got to, give you that contract. I just want to
yeah,
go a little bit back, man. I want to get everybody to learn a little bit about your backstory. Obviously, you're 26 years old. You're getting ready for this Dana White Contender Series. You're 4-0 in MMA, but what actually drew you to the sport? How did you get started in kickboxing, and when did you actually step into CKB?
yeah. Well, I got into like fighting through Conor McGregor. He was like a big inspiration at the time,
Hmm.
and then that was when I just at least got my feet wet. And then I started to learn more about like our own fighters. I didn't even know anything about New Zealand's lineage and fighting. And I think it was around 2017 was when I had my like first couple kickboxing fights, and I remember seeing around New Year's time. I think it was 2017 New Year's.
Hmm.
I remember seeing Israel getting signed to the UFC, and how massive that was. I think Dan Hooker had just choked out Mark Jacasey as well. So those were around the same time. And I just remember being like, far out, these guys are making a lot of noise and they're from New Zealand and they're training at City Kickboxing. And it was a gym that I had like kind of saw myself going to, but I wanted to do a lot of achieve things on my own as well. I felt like there was I didn't want to go there and just expect him to hand me on a into the UFC like
Hmm.
on a plate. So I went and I put them up there, and I was like, man, I want to achieve that, but I got some work to do. So I just kept at my little gym in Wellington and grinded for as many kickboxing bouts as I could. And when I felt like the time was right, that was when I made the move to City Kickboxing, and yeah, I've just I slotted into the team really, really well, and yeah, I was like a huge part of. It was like a huge part of my career joining the gym and being able to fully dive into the MMA universe. So yeah,
All right, guys, before we continue, just want to quickly shout out some sponsors that make this show possible, make this interview possible. First off is our friends at Manscaped. You guys can get 20% off and free shipping with the code word submission today. Manscaped has elite products that are going to change your game forever. What about the beard hedger? What about the weed whacker? What about the lawnmower 5.0 that keeps your balls smooth and your game intact? You can jump on Manscaped today and just browse all of the great products available. And of course, don't forget it's 20% off and free shipping today. Go on, get some Manscaped in your life and support this program now. And guys, this month we have an exciting offer for everybody out there in Submission Radio land. That's right, NordVPN is back on board supporting the program and is offering you guys an extremely great deal. Click the link nordvpn.com/submission now to get 4 extra months free on a 2-year plan. By the way, there's absolutely no risk on Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and you guys could try it today risk-free. NordVPN lets you watch sporting events, TV shows, and films that aren't available in your region. It protects your private data like bank details and passwords. It can switch your virtual location, allowing you to save money by purchasing flights, hotels, subscriptions from other countries at a cheaper price. What about the NordVPN threat protection feature that protects you from viruses, malicious malware, and phishing sites? It's the fastest VPN in the world with no buffering or lagging. It's premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee per month. And best of all, one NordVPN account can be used up to 10 devices. So go to nordvpn.com/submission now. Try it today. Support the show. Support yourself. And now back to the interview. Man, what you guys have been able to achieve in CKB is incredible. But like, I got family in New Zealand. They live in Greymouth, and I got some family near Wellington. So I know firsthand, how crazy it might seem,
yeah,
going from there to the bright lights of the UFC, especially
yeah,
back in the day. Like, I remember Greymouth, there was one guy that used to like do jujitsu, and I was just like, I
yeah,
went to his house, and he's like, sorry, like trying to get training is
yeah, yeah.
not like what people
Oh
think it
yeah,
is, in Melbourne even or Australia. Like, you
yeah,
got to really
yeah.
seek it out. What was
You
the
have
moment
to.
though?
Yeah,
Yeah, what was the moment though for you during a kickboxing match or even in one of your MMA amateur or pro fights where you realized, all right, man, like this is what I want to do? Because like
yeah,
I imagine you would have had a few other sports like at your fingertips, like maybe
yeah,
footy was something you
yeah,
might have been interested in as well. Like when did you realize this was it for you?
yeah. Oh, bro! After my very first fight, I was like a shin pad fight, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna be in the UFC." Like that was when I told myself, like, I really want to do this for a living. Because I had played like other sports, and I hated team sports because you have to get picked,
Yeah.
from the top coach. You got to go to the big schools. You got to know these guys. But I just thought like if I could just beat everybody in a fight, that's got to count for something. If I don't know anyone in the fight game, I knew nobody. I had no connections. I didn't know a single thing on how the fight game ran. All I wanted to know was where's the ranking, how who's the best guy, and how can I work my way into a shot with this guy? Who do I have to beat? Who do I have to beat? I'll beat this guy, sweet. And I just keep doing that. I keep telling myself that, and then I went to a gym, and then when that gym got me all the fights that I could, they put me onto another gym. So I started training in a different gym, and then they said, "Well, we'll support. You got the hard work, and you've had some fights. You got some good talent. We'll just keep getting you fights." So I was like, "That's all you got to do. Just give me the fights. I'll figure it out on the way." And I just kept. I didn't really look at the bigger picture. Like I knew I was young, so I didn't really look at the bigger picture of the UFC. Um, I just stuck my head down. I was just like, "Well, when can I get my next fight? When can I get my next fight? When can I get?" And I just keep doing that, and then all of a sudden I look up and now I'm here as it is. I'm just about to get there. So yeah, it was just sticking my head down and grinding for so long. And yeah, there's like no in MMA in New Zealand, it's just non-existent. Like you have to seek
Yeah.
it out. You have to really seek it out. And that's why I started off with kickboxing because it was like somewhat pretty regular, normal in Wellington. But it's in terms of MMA, it's just non-existent. Like there's jiu-jitsu, but there's no MMA. So that's why I realized I needed to make the move to Auckland where there was a lot more MMA gyms and obviously city kickboxing.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because people don't realize, like New Zealand, Australia, especially, like boxing is a big thing. Like in Australia, they do pay-per-views on a Wednesday night with like NRL players, and it does
Yeah,
better than like half of the UFCs on a Sunday. Like
yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah,
crazy kind of thing. But I know you said you spoke about how you kind of put like, you got high expectations and you kind of
yeah,
put that pressure on yourself.
yeah,
Um, Break that down for me a little bit, man, because obviously it's a different kind of mindset. When did you first realize, all right, this is the mindset for me? And like, when did you first realize the kind of gains you were getting from sort of
yeah,
putting yourself in the fire in order to
yeah.
sort of grow and sort of climb that ladder?
Well, I looked at fighting as a career, and I'm like, they're like people are looking at it like MMA is just not a viable career. It's this, they talk about it all the time. These mid-tier UFC fighters making fuck all, and I'm just like, bro, like if I'm the best fighter ever, like there's got to be a career in that.
Yeah.
Got to make money from that somehow. So it was just realizing that I really had to put myself in the fire and be a main event guy. And I realized like when I was in local shows, like the kind of attention I was bringing, and I don't know, like it was just that aura. I've always had it. Even when I was an amateur, I would be the main event for an amateur title show in Wanganui, and the amount of eyes that would be like on me, I could just feel like everyone was like whispering me. I'm like so good at like noticing when people are talking about me. Like I can just
Mhm.
see them like really like whispering to each other about me, and I've had that my whole career now, and having that pressure. Um, I just thought, you know what, if I just keep telling everybody out that I'm the man, and going out there and fighting like the man, and that's got to account for something, it's got to get me out of the struggle. It's yeah, like I just like back that so hard, and a lot of people will like shy away from that. I just take it with courage, and I just go forward because I just think, why not? Why can't I do that? Because I've only got like a small time on earth, and I want to make a name for myself, and cement my name in the that I was here to say I was here. So yeah,
Dude, I love that, man, because I do think that a lot of fighters get into the UFC, but they don't quite understand all the aspects of the game. And it's great to see that
yeah,
you understand that there is the entertainment aspect, there is the
yeah,
entertainment of speaking about it. And like Muhammad Ali said it himself, he said,
yeah,
I said it was the greatest long before I knew I was. Like, you got to
yeah,
just do that. I wonder, like, when you speak to, for example, a teammate in Israel Adesanya who's had the kind those kinds of similar expectations when he was getting into the UFC. Has he given you any advice on that? Like, have you guys spoken about that aspect of the game now that it's sort of happening to you and you're sort of in a similar situation to him, like in 2017 when he was stepping into the UFC?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've had like small like yarns and stuff, and I
Mm,
think he just kind of talks to me like I already know what I'm talking about, and I just said to him, I think I was just like, because obviously he's like big and he can do a lot for his teammates by bringing them up as well. But I just said to him like he doesn't don't feel like you have to do anything. Like I want to do it my way, and
mhm.
that's what I said to him. I want to do it my way, and I want to make a name for myself. I don't really need the help. Although I appreciate it, I appreciate it for sure. I'm not saying like don't do it, but I said don't feel like you need to. Don't feel like there's pressure on you to bring your teammates up or whatever. I'll just do it myself, and he was just like, "You're the man for that," like that's cool as. So yeah,
Yeah, man. Well, it's crazy because it's like in the team you got like Dan Hooker, Izzy,
yeah,
Carlos, and Kai, all the boys and stuff. But also you've been around the fight weeks, you've been at the fights, you
yeah,
felt it before. I wonder as well, like now that you're in the game, you're about to get into the UFC. Are you still a fan of the sport? Like a lot of the guys that I speak to kind of get over watching the fights because it's such a big part of their lives. Do you still like to
yeah,
watch the sport? Do you have some
yeah,
favorite fighters outside of the boys from the gym that you
yeah.
love to watch in the UFC?
Yeah, I like to watch like the good matchups. I think for me, I've always been a fan of matchups,
Hmm.
and like I see like a plenty of good fighters with great skill, but I don't know. You always want to see them get tested, and a lot of people have been feeling that way about me for a long time because I've always just dominated or cruised through opponents. And that's like basically what I'm looking for in joining the UFC is people to test me and to keep beating that guy that was supposed to beat me. Because that's what I enjoy seeing is great matchups, great fights, dudes putting it all on a line. But yeah, when you see guys that obviously cruising through like easy fighters all the time, you just kind of like over it. And
Mm,
usually, if I see a good fighters fighting, I against a guy that I know is like not going to be on his level, I'm not really that excited to watch it. But although there's some good upsets, which is pretty cool, but that's what the UFC is about, is putting those
mm.
fights on. And yeah, I want to be a part of that and showcase my stuff against someone great. So yeah,
Yeah, there's nothing more powerful, man, than like when someone's supposed to destroy someone and then you're there and it's like, holy crap, like what's happening in front of me? Like you don't get
yeah.
that feeling watching anything else. Is there one matchup recently that you watched that kind of stands out to you that you really enjoyed?
Yeah. Obviously Dan's one against Gamrot. Like everyone
Oh,
was writing him off,
yeah.
and like yeah, like I would watch Gamrot and I'd be like, oh, this guy's just gonna sniff his way to a win. Every fight, and I knew Dan had it in him, bro. Like I see his
Yeah.
like his grappling's really good, and he's really good at making it a scrap. Um, and yeah, I was real happy when I seen him win, beat someone like that. Who a lot of people are just kind of like, oh, this guy's just gonna beat everyone, and he beat that guy. So what have they got to say now? And I love that. I love those are the fights. That everyone's like, oh, just pulled up and proved everyone wrong.
Mm. That's what I love about you guys as well. Like Dan, he wanted Gamrot. Like there were
Yeah,
other options, and he's like, "Nah, I want Gamrot." And then Izzy, he always wants to fight the best of the best. It's just
yeah,
like it's really impressive. Obviously, you yourself, you're 26 years old, you're 6'3", you've got a crazy almost 7 foot of reach from what I saw on the internet. What do you think you bring to this 205 division that fans might not realize?
yeah. I think it's a bit of an old man's division, the light heavyweight, and it's like a foreigner division. There's not a lot of fresh young. I can't think of anyone like that. That's like a young English speaking light heavyweight, right? Like they're all like big Russian, Brazilian, Polish blokes. Uh, yeah, I feel like they like try to market them as the best that they can, and they do a pretty good job. But I feel like, man, once they get a hold of me, bro, like they're gonna pump me up there big time. I know it, and because I'm young and I have the skill set and the fight IQ, and I've always put on exciting fights. I can't remember a single time I haven't. And yeah, it'll be. That's why I think that's the thing that makes it different for me.
Mm. Like you're a fan of matchups. What is
Yeah.
like the dream matchup for you at 205 if you had to think about it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping they're all still around when I get there. But obviously, Alex Pereira is a big one. That would be a fairy tale fight. Although I feel like his time will come to an end by the time I even get close to fighting someone like him. Obviously, Ankalaev is a big one. Prohaska, damn, all the big names.
Mm.
Khalil Roundtree, Jamal Hill. Yeah, I'm wondering if all those guys will still be around though, and by the time I get there. Um, so yeah, you never know. You never know. Like the rise to the top is a long way. So you never know.
Yeah, man. It's interesting that you mentioned Alex because, like, you know Alex pretty well, right? Like, I
Yeah,
imagine you were part of a couple of the camps with Izzy as he was
yeah,
getting ready to fight
both
him.
of them,
Yeah, yeah.
both
So
of them. Yeah,
when you watch this guy fight, a part of you must be like, man, like I have the combination to the lock here. I just hope I can make it up to
yeah,
Alex before he disappears,
yeah.
right?
Well, it's the same with Israel as well. Like when I spy him, I know everything he does. So like I've watched him. I watched like pretty much almost every kickboxing fight of Israel, and all of us helped him train. I know what he's good at, what he's not good at, and yeah, I always like capitalized on that in recent times, like when we would spar, and yeah, I think yeah with Pereira, I haven't had them as much practice obviously, but I've watched a lot of his tape as well because he was a big guy in kickboxing, and I already
Mm,
knew who Pereira was before the UFC public knew who he was. Like I had followed him for a long time. Um, yeah, so it's interesting, eh? Um,
yeah, very interesting. I wonder,
but
dude, like I saw like DDP, saying, "Hey, I'll move up to 205. I'll fight Pereira at 205." And Alex is up for that as well.
yeah,
You know DDP pretty well because you were part of Izzy's camp for the
yeah,
DDP fight in Perth too. How do you think DDP would actually do against Alex at 205?
yeah. Yeah, so that's a hard one, eh? Like, there's so many things that DDP is good at, and then Pereira's good at, and there's also like the fear factor of Pereira. I think is pretty prominent, eh? In these
Mm,
matchups, like, um, yeah, he fights with a very good pressure. He puts a lot of pressure on, and then he hits guys like as they're adjusting their feet, and yeah, but also there's Drickus, who's also very unorthodox, awkward, and he has the wrestling advantage. Obviously, I can see him taking Pereira down with ease and holding him there. So yeah, it's a tough matchup. I wouldn't know who to pick in that one, but yeah, I would say maybe we go Pereira just from his being most recent fighting quite often at light heavyweight. I would say so,
mm.
and just that
Yeah,
power.
yeah, and it's interesting as well, Pereira at, 205, a little
Yeah.
bit different from Pereira at 185, right? Like, we haven't
Yes.
seen what he looks like yet, when he's tested. Well, I'm sure we'll see that potentially against Roundtree. Hey, dude, before we wrap up, I just want people to get to know you a little better, so I've got a few little, questions here to find out what
Yeah.
life was like outside of fighting. You up for it, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. Throw 'em at
Alright,
me. Throw 'em at me.
alright, alright, brother. NRL, NBA, or football? What's the sport of choice for you outside of the UFC?
Oh, NBA.
Oh, yeah, you got a team?
NBA. I was a big Derrick Rose Chicago Bulls fan back in the day. So
Dude, the
yeah,
Bulls, man, you just can't get it
not that
together,
good
can you?
though. They're not that good at the moment.
If there was a zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapon of choice?
Oh, shotgun or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't go wrong with a shotgun, bro. That's why
Yeah,
it's always
that's
there.
usually what I pick when I play like the games. So I just like blasting loads of them in one hit. So I don't know if it's practical though, like in a real time, but it's pretty good on Red Dead. What is it? Resident Evil. So
Oh, yeah, dude, that's a classic game. And speaking
yeah,
of games, dude, what's the GOAT game of all time? What's the one that you love? Like my thing is like Nintendo 64 because I'm about 100
yeah.
years older than you, but what's your thing?
My OG was probably Skyrim. I think I
Yeah.
smashed loads of hours on there, and it was good. People give me shit sometimes, like being a gamer, but I think I look at like Rob Whitaker and all those guys, Mighty Mouse. They all play games, so I'm like, that's their thing. So it's a bit of a yeah, it's a good thing, good hobby to have. Yeah.
Well, apparently it improves your hand-eye coordination, brother, so that's what the
Oh yeah,
excuse I've
bro.
been using, yeah. Um, what's the most embarrassing song on your Spotify, man? What's something people wouldn't actually
Oh
believe is on there?
damn, it'll probably be in my rock playlist somewhere.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. I'd say I remember Cam. I took it from one of Cam's songs. I'd say Cam Rouston's walkout songs. I forgot what it was called. Yeah, it's one of his ones that I put on my playlist. I thought it was catchy. I forgot
Yeah,
what the
man.
song was called.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, it's probably a classic. It's probably like Wagon Wheel or some
Yeah,
classic like that.
yeah. It's good.
Hey, if you weren't fighting, what do you reckon you'd be doing?
Oh, mate. I'd be like a I'd be like a laborer or something. I was just too dumb to do anything. All I know is just like hard work. I was just like using my body for just pure slavery before this. So
Wait, what were
probably
you? Wait,
just
what were you doing? What was?
I was like unloading
Ah,
containers, like 40
okay.
foot containers,
Whew.
just by hand. Maybe
Holy
it makes
shit.
you strong, bro. You're like picking like big pieces off out of containers like all day long. That's what I used to do.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
Ooh, best piece of advice was focus on your next fight. Just focus on the next fight.
Hmm.
Uh, think about your next fight. Don't think too far ahead. And that one put me at ease all the time.
Yeah, it's hard not to just focus on a thousand things, especially when you're
Yeah,
trying to climb that ladder. Well,
yeah.
let's finish it out on this, bro. What is the best movie of all time? Hit me with it.
Oh, that's a good one, bro. I've got some good ones.
I'll let you give me like two or three. It's all good.
Definitely like a Gladiator, Troy.
Mm.
Um, damn, I got heaps, bro. I just can't think of them all on top of my head. But I'm a thrillers guy. Yeah, I like thrillers. Um, Gone Girl's pretty good as well. That's a good one with Ben
Hmm.
Affleck. Um, damn, what else? Yeah, mainly like the medieval ones are my favorite, but definitely I'd say um, oh, Seven's pretty good.
Ah, seven.
Damn. Yeah, I'll just go with those.
Bro, those are classics, man.
Yeah.
Hey, as we wrap up, what is your message, dude? A lot of fans are going to see you for the first time in this interview. They're going to watch you for the first time on the Dana White Contender Series. What is your message to the fans out there, and maybe even like Dana White if he sees this ahead of the big debut at the Dana White Contender Series next week?
Oh, bro, I'm the whole package, man. Like, I'm a little bit tired at the moment, so I probably don't look as enthusiastic.
Oh,
But
come on,
yeah,
man. You're
I
probably
got
like, oh, I
the
got to do an interview with this dickhead, and I'm tired. It's all good,
Nah,
brother.
I really do this. I do this fighting stuff, man. The ins and outs, wanting to fight the best. Like, I'm the whole package, and I believe that uh, fully, fully for sure. So yeah, man, just watch it, watch my fight. The whole aura, you know, that's it's gonna be there from the walkout to the walk in to you know bringing that energy. I think sometimes I see guys fight and they look like they just got up out of bed or they don't really care. But no, man, I bring the energy, and it's almost like every time I bring the energy, the other guy tries to bring his energy up to the same level as mine. So, but I know it's fake. I know it's fake. They're not there with me.
Awesome, brother. Well, for now, everybody can follow you on socials at Navajo Sterling.
Yeah,
Jump on board, guys, because big things are ahead for this man. And dude, I really appreciate you, Jeremy. I know it's been a tough week with you with all the changes, but it means a lot for you jump on the program. I can't wait to
I
see
appreciate
the
it.
big Dana White Contender Series fight, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Congratulations with everything.
Appreciate it.